Hello, real estate world. Welcome to the Nova Show, Real Estate Records. This is Nuria Rivera, owner of Novation Title. I wanted to create the space for you guys to be able to share success stories, but not only success stories. I also wanted you guys to be able to share raw stories. Everything that you have learned from the failures, the lessons, the wins. This is a space for our community to come together so that we can help each other rise to the next level. This is the space to be vulnerable, and this is the space for us to all be able to support each other in this real estate world. Please enjoy this episode.
Hello and welcome to the Nova Show, Real Estate Records. My name is Tristan Hammett and I am your host for today's episode. And today, I'm excited to host Aaron Drussel. Hailing from New Jersey, Aaron came to Utah to attend BYU, where he met his wonderful wife, Sarah. They are blessed with 4 children. A devoted family man and adoption advocate, Aaron's entrepreneurial journey led him to real estate. Known for his top-notch service and problem-solving skills, he thrives on helping clients, especially those with underwater homes. Aaron's humor shines through his alter ego, Pete Swade, on YouTube. Join us as we explore his remarkable story. Welcome, Aaron.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yes. This is my first time meeting Aaron, and this is going to be a good podcast because he's really funny. So
I think we lost them all already. That bio. The bio, people were like, I'm not watching this dumb thing.
Oh my gosh. No. I've got so many
There's
questions.
like 2 people still watching.
No, I've got
3.
so many people that are going to be listening and interested in this because there's a lot of questions I have. Well, first, please tell us about yourself. Where are you from? I mean, I don't know if you're born, raised in New Jersey, but how did you come to Utah and get into real estate? Like that flow.
The flow of it. To not bore people watching this. The quick summary is, I lived in Chicago till 6th grade, moved to New Jersey. That's where I went to high school and came out here to go to school, and then lived in Spain for 2 years. And I got back, and I was always kind of had this bug for entrepreneurship, but I thought I'm going to become a dentist.
Oh.
So I was 2 classes away from going into dentistry. I was 2 classes from my taking my dental admissions test. And then I found out that dentistry is the number 1 profession for suicide rate.
Wow.
Crazy, huh? Crazy.
Wow. And you were like, not doing it.
I like the idea of making money, and I like the idea of working only a couple days a week. So that sounded appealing, but I didn't like the work of a dentist. And so I ended up going a different route. I started a little company, did that for a couple of years, and then sold that when I got into real estate. And that's been over 20 years now.
What was that doing?
So we did wholesale doors and furniture, and we sold all across the country.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then the real estate thing was just kind of an interesting idea to get my real estate license and be able to walk into a house and see if it was a good deal or not. And then it just kind of took off from there.
Okay. So when was that?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Early 2000s, 2001, 2002.
So you've been in it a while.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So you can probably share a lot of stories and insights.
I've failed a ton of times. So yeah, I can tell about all the things I've done wrong.
Yeah. You didn't fail. You learned.
Yeah. Well, that's a continual failure that I've got where I'm at. So
There we go. Okay. So let's talk about your day in and day out of real estate. You are a broker. We're not allowed to mention brokerage names, but you are a broker.
That's illegal. That's frowned upon.
Yes.
For all podcasts.
For title
podcasts.
Yeah.
Illegal to talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, good luck finding out what it is. Mystery. Google it.
Google Aaron Drussel.
It's Google. If you haven't, it's Google. It's google.com. I don't know the audience that you're used to. So
yeah, just
go on Yahoo, go on Bing, go on Ask Jeeves, and you'll find it.
Yeah.
Search.
Yeah.
Good.
So you are a broker.
Yes, I have a broker.
How long have you been a broker?
Let's see. We started the brokerage about, when did we start? 2015. So we started about then.
Okay.
A little before then.
So why did you want to start a brokerage?
Because that's where all the money's made. That's what they told me. No, just kidding.
I was like, really?
Brokerage comes from the Latin word broke. That's where broke, and then it becomes broker and brokerage. So that's where the word started from, was the word broke.
Okay.
Why did I get into brokering? I had nothing better to do with my time. No, to be real, I mean, the dynamic for me was, so I started out in real estate, like I didn't have people from around here. Like from back east, I didn't go to high school with people here. Like all my people are back east. And so my buddies from high school aren't buying houses in Utah.
Yeah.
My family was mostly back there. And so for me to start out, it took a little bit longer to get going. Like I hear about all these people that are like rookie of the year, and I'm like, dude, I didn't do anything my first year. Like I worked my tail off, and I didn't close a single deal my first year of real estate.
Yeah.
Zero.
How did you survive?
I didn't. I mean, I was working part-time at like a carpet store just to make ends meet. And I was like struggling to try to figure it out. I knew that I would make it work because I was just going to continue working hard at it. It was a long road. I did a lot of open houses. I learned how to talk to a bunch of people, started building a database from scratch. And it just took a little bit. It was like the long road. So you have all these people who have like come out of the gates and like these superstars, which is awesome. And that's super cool to see. I had the long road. It was not the flashy, fast pass to get to success. So my business has always been like that. And I got to the point like late 2000s, that year I did 87 transactions as a solo agent, which I thought was going to like burn me out.
Wow.
I was crazy. I had little kids and it was just wild. Then we started a real estate team the next year. So we started a real estate team, and that started to take off. And then we started. And then the hard thing with the real estate team was, a lot of teams are built where you kind of keep people within the team, and they don't really graduate out. We have So the hard part with it, like a lot of teams, is like it gives it the chance. It's a challenge for people to break out, and because you don't want people to leave the team ever. And that was a hard thing for me because I didn't want to create a hostage situation with my people on my team. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to create a place where I could grow people. It would be like a college football team, and they could graduate out and turn pro. But if I didn't own a brokerage, then it made it hard because where would I put these people and they graduate out? So that's how the brokerage started.
Okay.
So
well, and teams too, I feel like and probably as a broker too, it's a lot of recruiting, right?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
It's a continual process of of talent attraction.
Okay. Yeah. And so how do you feel that what's one of the advantages of being at your brokerage? Like how do you retain your agents?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part because there are a lot of good brokerages out there. There is no one perfect brokerage. If there was, it'd put everybody else out of business. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But it's impossible. Like there is no perfect real estate brokerage. They all have their pros and cons. I think that like you start to look at like just finding the right people who want to be around the culture that is created there. And the culture is disseminated from the leadership and what the leader's trying to do. I think for a lot of agents, it depends on the lifestyle they're trying to create and the mindset they have of creating business. I think those are in my mind, I kind of qualify brokerages in there's 4 different styles of brokerages that are out there. And I feel that we're just one of the 4 styles. It's just finding the right fit for people who are looking at growing and creating a lifestyle type business. My process is how to make more money in less time.
Oh, okay.
And so how can you maximize your time and not have to work crazy hours and be able to enjoy a lifestyle with your family?
And how do you do that?
How do I do that?
Yeah.
It all comes down to setting boundaries and setting standards and being able to hold to those standards. Because you have, across the board, you'll have people have standards, but then they also have their tolerances. So you have the standard across the board, but then when you start to tolerate certain things, that becomes the real new quote unquote standard that you're willing to hold. And so people talk a lot about like concepts and they throw out catchphrases like raising the bar and getting better and being better. But really, in the end, it's just enforcing the standards that you're trying to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that gap between the standard and what you tolerate, the gap there, that is just frustration. And so the frustration that most people have is that they are tolerating something that's different than what they say their standards are, what they feel their standards are. So
yes, okay. And for you to recognize that is, I'm sure, extremely helpful in your business and having that balance. I think I've heard the term Pop-Tart agent. And
yeah, heard that.
So that's like if somebody calls you, hey Aaron, can I go look at this house now? And it's 6:00 and you're having dinner with your family. and you're like, yeah, I'll be right there. Like you're a Pop-Tart agent, you'll just like get up and do it. But you really do have to hold those standards, like whether it's I'm in an appointment right now or I have an appointment at that time. Actually, can we schedule at this time, and giving more options.
I think that's such a hard,
like boundaries.
It's hard because as a newer agent or an agent who's struggling, you're trying to move your business forward, it is hard to think of saying no because you're trying to get everything you can.
Yeah.
And it becomes hard too because in a marketplace where sometimes the competitive advantage is to lower standards, whether that's in price, whether that's in compensation, whether that's in time, and whether that's in so people are quick to lower, but that actually creates a situation where you have less exclusivity. Because if I'm calling a really good surgeon, I don't expect to get into that surgeon that afternoon.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that surgeon to be responding super fast. So it just depends on how we position ourselves. But I think the hardest part is it's easy for someone who it looks like they're having success to talk about having standards. And when someone is not having success, they'll look at it and say, yeah, of course you'll say that, but I'm just trying to make ends meet. I'm in survival mode. I've got to get everything I can. But survival mode is that's a hard thing because if you're doing everything for everyone, then the opportunity cost is the most costly thing because you're intentionally now cutting out some of the more important things because you're trying to do everything for everyone.
Yeah.
And it creates this. And I think what happens, you just get people that get burnt out. You get people who are feeling stressed, they feel stuck, and they feel like they're in overwhelm. And when people are in overwhelm, they don't move forward. And so that becomes a struggle. And we're seeing that in the market right now where there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of struggle, and people are trying to find ways of creating business. And so the only way they think they can create business is by becoming more available, working with more people versus creating exclusivity with their time and their resources.
So let's talk about I'm sure as a broker, I'm assuming, I don't really know, but do you go into the office every day?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And do you encourage your agents to go to the office every day? Or do most of them?
We do. We had a little bit of a kind of an overhaul of mindset this last December. So we had our holiday luncheon, and I got up in front of our company, and I just told them that I had failed them. I'd failed them in the sense that I gave them a false sense that they were good enough and that we were good enough to survive in today's market. And I had given them I've been placating their mindset that if they came to a couple classes that I'd teach, if they came to a couple CE things here and there, and when they were showing up here and there, that was good enough. And it wasn't good enough. And it wasn't enough for them. It's not good enough for me. So in December, I decided to totally transition our entire schedule and canceled all of our morning meetings, decided that we were going to be in the office, that we were going to be, that I would show up every morning at a set time. And if they wanted to join me, they could, but I was going to make money. I was going to teach them, and whoever wanted to be with me, I was going to teach them how to make money. So Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m., I'd be in the office, and they could count on me being there every single day, and I would teach them how to make money. And I told them that if they didn't want to come, they didn't have to come.
Okay.
Because it didn't matter if they came or not, because I was gonna make success happen with whoever was there. Or if no one came, it didn't matter either, because I was going to make success by myself if I needed to. And what's interesting is since January, the group of people who have both joined and have caught on to that vision, it's been a game changing. It's moved from a country club culture to a group of people who are focused on growth and becoming a better version of themselves. And it's like these small little things. And what's funny is making money in real estate is so simple. Like making six figures in real estate, I could sit down with anybody and I could outline a path to make six figures. That's easy. That's like a half-hour conversation. But it's the simplicity of it that makes it so hard, because the compounding of little efforts every single day, like getting in shape and getting healthy is not hard. But it takes 90 days to see the results of it. But we go to a gym for a couple of days and we get sore. We go stand on a scale and we're like, the scale's not moving. and the clothes don't change, like they're like fitting the same. Our before and after picture after 4 days going to the gym looks the same. Like, right, this is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
We're exhausted and we feel tired, but if we're not seeing the result fast enough, that can like really dissuade us from wanting to continue on the path. And I think that's the hard part, is the culture we're in right now is such a,
I want it now.
yeah, instant gratification, right? Like
Yep.
like I could like pull my phone out right now. I could go on an app and I could have food delivered to the front desk at this place within an hour.
Yeah.
If I wanted to send something to my house, I could get on that. I could get another app and I could have something shipped to my home within a day of things from all over the place. And so it's like instant gratification. I can push a button. But the hard part with real estate is, if there's no button to push that gives me the results by 24 hours.
Yeah.
Or there's no button. Like, I can't just go online and push, I want a closing tomorrow. Doesn't happen. Like, I've tried to call title companies. Like, I've tried to call you guys and be like, hey, do you have any closings tomorrow that nobody's going to be claiming? Like, anybody like,
I'm like, you did.
any unrepresented buyers or sellers that like need somebody to show up tomorrow for their closing, and doesn't seem to work out.
No.
I get turned away every single time, which I think is rude, but that's fine.
Oh my gosh.
No, but like, it doesn't happen that fast.
It's so true. I see a lot of common denominators with top producers. And one of them is it's being consistent, and with whatever niche or marketing strategy or how you do your business, you build on success. So whatever's working, just build on that and really like hone in on that. If it's open houses, do as many open houses as you can. You know, if it's calling your SOI or having events or cold calls, whatever it is, you have to be consistent at it. Consistency is key for sure in this business. And it's so easy for agents to not go into the office every day. And, you know, and I think being around other agents that, so like them coming into your office is great, because you have the accountability. You have people that are growth minded. You're hearing conversations about what's going on out there, you know, how people are handling contracts. So I think it's awesome that you have been able to shift the mindset at your brokerage.
Like, people create a checklist of stuff that they think that's going to be, and what happens is they're like pacified into success, but they're not even success. It's not success. So like, if I were to go to an agent and say, what do you have to do on Monday? And they would tell me like all the things that they have on their plate. There's some sort of weird checklist that they'll create and some sort of punch list. But what's never on that list is the thing that's the most important thing to do in their business. Most likely, it's the thing they're avoiding the most that will make the biggest difference for them. And they like check the boxes, so they get the dopamine high of like, I'm doing work, but they're not even doing work that's going to make a difference. It's like the person who goes to the gym and they're just walking around the whole time and talking to friends and high-fiving each other and taking a couple of drinks. And they're like, I went to the gym for an hour. I went to the gym. You didn't do jack. You just walked around and took a couple of selfies. Yeah. Posted online. And you're like, you know, doing my grind. But like, you're not doing the work that has to happen to make things happen.
Yeah.
And it's tricky too, because newer agents or people who are struggling, they look at the success of other people, top producers, and the top producers make it look so easy because they've been doing it for so long and they're like further down the path. And so the other people are like, well, I just want to do what they're doing. But they're going to try to shortcut the whole process to get to what but they've already paid the price to get to where they're at. Yeah. And they don't realize that the price has been paid behind the scenes. And they're not seeing that, and they want the fast track, and they want the secret sauce to get to that place. And they'll ask the top producer, like, what's the thing that you do? And the agent will say, well, I do this thing. And they're like, okay, I'm just gonna do that then. And they think that they're gonna be able to do that, but they haven't paid the price to even get to that place so they can do it as effective as that top producer does. Mm-hmm. And they get distracted by all the stories,
tools, and all of the things.
Yeah, all the stuff. And what's crazy, and this is the craziest part of our whole industry, is, I mean, in Utah, we have 20,000 realtors across the Wasatch, or across the state. I'm fascinated all the time of people who jump on Facebook groups to ask for advice, or people who go to the masses of agents and ask for advice of like, what should I do on this, and what should I do for this? And it's crazy because half the agents in our marketplace don't close a single deal all year. The majority of them don't close maybe a handful at the most. And yet that's the group that people go to ask for advice. It's like they're married and they won't go to a bunch of singles to ask them for relationship advice. Or they're going to I don't know, I'm trying to think of another example, but it's when we adopted our first two as newborns, and I remember all the parenting advice I get from people who had never had kids. Oh, it's like the worst parenting advice. Like they were like, I had a family member who was like always telling me like what we should do with our kids. I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You don't even have kids, let alone like you have no right to give that advice. But it's interesting in our real estate world how quick people give advice from a place of like no credibility. But most of the time people give advice, they mean well, but most of the time they're doing it because they're trying to justify the choices that they've already made. So people will sign. That's the same thing. Like if you want to be, if you're ever feeling lonely and don't feel like you have no friends, just go on a Facebook group and just ask what brokerage you should join. You'll be like the most popular person. Like you have like the bestest of friends come out of the woodwork.
I
like,
see those. I'm like,
it's
whoa.
crazy. It's like the floodgates open. You got it's like going into a sports bar on a Sunday afternoon in the fall and just saying like, I don't have a football team to cheer for. Who should I cheer for? And like every person who's wearing a jersey is going to tell you how their team is the greatest team of all time.
Yeah.
Because whatever their fandom has created. And so it's fascinating to watch all the people with their brokerage jerseys on just talking about how great their brokerage is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just fine. Like I get it. Like they're fans. They should be fans where they're at. But it's interesting how quick people can get dissuaded by just random advice from people who have never even been or done what those people want to do in the first place.
Yeah. And so what kind of advice would you give for somebody that's looking for a new brokerage? Because myself as a title rep, I can be talking to you today and tomorrow you're at another brokerage. Next week you might switch to another one. It's like how do you I tell people if they're looking, I'm like, interview multiple.
It depends what they're looking for. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people, they put too much weight on the brokerage as if that's like the secret to their success. When in reality, like a lot of it's probably back to them. I would say most people in our industry know what to do. Like it's not like some secret sauce that a brokerage has that is like the secret hidden like thing. I think the most important thing that a brokerage can offer is the support around doing the things that they need to know they need to do. Because having the support around and moving people to action, like that's the difference between it's the implementation of stuff versus just the knowledge. I mean, because it's not the stuff I teach and the stuff I'm showing people how to make money. Like I've learned that from other people. I've learned that from people who are way better producers than I am across the country. Like I've learned from them, and then I take that information, I share it. So it's not like it's like this proprietary thing that only I've discovered out in the desert, and I've like uncovered this secret thing. It's more about just how have I been able to apply it? How can I help other people apply it and move their business forward? Because most of the time people are finding brokerage options because either they don't like where they're at because they've been wronged by some reason, or they don't like people that they're around, or whatever it is, or because they feel like they're outgrowing the leadership. So the pressure that puts on me is and this is the thing that stresses, I don't know if I use stress, it's the thing that keeps me moving faster every single day, is that I know that I have agents growing and becoming better, and I have to outpace them. Because if I don't outpace them, then they will look for somewhere else to go.
That's so interesting you say that, because I know brokers that don't do production.
They'll get passed by.
Yeah.
Like I get, like, and there are brokerages I will say, like, because I am still in production. Like I don't work a ton in real estate. I mean, I don't work crazy hours. I have a team that within the brokerage, but that gives me the ability to teach and train and show people what works in today's market. Like when I'm going on listing appointments, when I'm meeting with clientele, I can show what works in today's market. So it's not some back in my day type concept. But I never compete against my agents. Like if I ever had to go head to head with one of my agents, like they're going to get the business.
Yeah.
But it keeps me current. Like it keeps me fresh to know what works in the market. And I'm a way better teacher and a way better guide to help people because I can speak to that. Like I can show what is working in today's marketplace.
Your team that you said you have, is that like a real estate team of agents, or is it a support team, or is it both?
Both. I mean, we have like a leads team within the brokerage. We have a small production team that works off of my database that kind of like helps to create business. We generate leads, and we have multiple people in my brokerage who have teams, and I'm helping them how to build a team. And we have a new agent team of agents that come on board, and we help train them up from from the ground up. And we have solo agents too. We have agents who are just trying to create their businesses and they don't want to have a team and they don't have to.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of like finding where people want to fit. And it's just, for some, it's just there's a certain amount of money that they need to make every year and they're good with that. And then the question becomes, how can we help you make that same amount of money in less time? Or for some, they want to continue to move their business forward and want to buy more properties and investment properties and build a better lifestyle for their family, which is great. So we teach them how to do that. I think it just depends on what people are trying to find in the end. And people will find, like, real estate is an amazing vehicle that can get people to where they want to go. I mean, there's no salary cap in this industry. There's
multiple ways
of creating business and creating income. And there's like so many ways of leveraging our time to be able to create more opportunities. And that's the coolest part about real estate for me. But the hardest part about real estate, for a business to grow, it requires the agent or the leader to grow first. I think a lot of times it's the inverse that we think. We think that as our business grows and we'll grow into it, it doesn't, we're always the bottleneck. And until we embrace all lasting change begins on the inside first. And if we don't change ourselves first, then our business is going to be just stuck at a plateau wherever we're going to allow it to go to. And that becomes the hardest part. So sometimes agents, though, like I think in today's market, you'll find agents who, when things get harder and things tighten, the natural approach for an agent is, well, I can only do this many deals. This is how many deals I've always done. So now I'm going to have to find a way that's cheaper. So they go like a cheaper route, like a discount route because that's how they're going to make more money, is by trimming their expenses and like find a lower process. When in fact that oftentimes submarines their mindset and creates a situation where they actually devalue their worth when they're with their clients. And it's like this slippery slope of production, where if they could get into a mindset of like, how do I reinvest? Because the thought process of an agent should be more like someone on Shark Tank. Like on Shark Tank, you walk down that hallway and the door's open. You have like the sharks sitting in different chairs. That's what the brokerages are. And you just find like which is the best brokerage who would be a strategic partner to help your business move forward. So you have like people who go to Shark Tank and they have like all the different sharks that are sitting there. Like those are the strategic investors. Like you look at a brokerage as like, here's a strategic investor for me. Like how can they move my business forward and get me to where I haven't gotten to? And I think that's the mindset that if an agent is interviewing brokerages, like that's the mindset to have is, I've run a business. I am a business owner. I'm going to step into the Shark Tank. I'm going to have a couple different brokerages I'm going to interview with. And who is the right strategic partner that I can strategize with, who can bring with them the resources and the mental capital and maybe even improve the relationship capital that I can move my business dramatically further. Because the people who get on Shark Tank, oftentimes the best deals are ones who, they are viable companies. Like they're good companies already. The Shark Tank investor can just take them to a whole different level.
Yeah. I have a question.
Hit me.
If you had to get a deal tomorrow, what would you do?
If I had to get a deal tomorrow, what would I do?
Yeah. Like if you're like, I have to get a transaction, what would you do? What would you tell another agent that came to you and was like, I need to get a deal tomorrow? What's the first thing you would have them do?
I mean, the lowest hanging fruit is always going to be like your sphere, right? Like people are going to talk about that all the time. I think the struggle with sphere is like too often people jump into their sphere and they try to make a withdrawal out of an account that doesn't have enough deposits in it. So they like try to write checks out of an account that there's not enough relationship capital in it yet, and so those checks bounce.
What a great analogy.
So they get frustrated because they start to feel like, because you have like your circle of friends and your circle of family and your circle of relationships. And too often people think that their real estate sphere should directly match. So like your 5 closest friends and your closest relatives, and they should like somehow that should transpose over to, those should be your top advocates in real estate. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And it's interesting like to see how out of whack agent can become when those don't transpose directly.
Okay.
So they're like, I can't believe my brother bought a house without me. And they're like, that's my brother. Like, but you haven't like built up the relationship capital and you haven't built up the trust in real estate, there might be some relationship capital there, but they're going to work with you because they know you, like you, and trust you, but they don't trust you in real estate yet.
Okay.
Like I have, like my wife and I like to travel. So we went to, got some cool places lately. Last year we went to Morocco.
Oh, very cool.
So we were in Morocco for a week and we had somebody watch our kids while we were gone. If I came home from my trip and the person who watched our kids, she's in her early 20s. And if she came to me and said, hey, you trust me with your kids, obviously. I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay. And I also have this really cool stock tip on this deal that's going to be big. If you'll give me 10 grand, I'll invest it in the stock market for you. And like, I've got this really great stock investment idea. I don't know how willing I am to give her 10 grand to invest in the stocks.
Yeah.
Because my trust with her is with my kids. Like I have trust.
Totally.
It's not I don't trust her. I didn't even know she did stocks.
Yeah.
That's all news to me. There's no evidence of success that she has shown to me. So she asked me that, I'm like, I don't know. And if she got out of whack and she became difficult and she's like, I can't believe you don't trust me. Like, I do trust you. I just don't trust you with that yet.
Yeah.
And so the hard part is like that transition for a lot of agents is they assume that people should just work with them because they are because they're friends. And but I think that's one of the hardest groups in the beginning because they also know you're new. Mm-hmm. And you've got to prove it to them that you have some sort of viability because the strongest place to have a real estate business is in a place where you can build strong relationships. But the reason why people refer, it's not about the agent. People refer because they're referring people so that they look good in the end because of the experience that their friend's going to have. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if they don't trust that their friend's going to have a really high level experience, they're not going to do the referral.
Okay.
They're not going to refer people out. And so if I need to get business, I would start to call through people that I've already built rapport with, that already have trust with me in the real estate space. And I would start to see like who within different degrees of separation might need. For me, my go-to is like creating events, and we do like a lot of big events, and that's like an easy way for me to leave with value because I hate calling people. I don't want people to come across, or I don't want to feel like I'm bugging them. Like that's a weird like mindset that I have to battle through for me personally. So I have to have an excuse to call, which oftentimes is an event or some sort of activity or something that I'm leading with value to start.
How many events do you have a year?
We do one every quarter.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So this is a really good topic, and I haven't asked anyone this, but I was watching this random video. You know, I get all the real estate videos.
Okay, here we go.
So I get this no, it's not that one yet. I will get to that one. But there's this guy talking, and it's like Coffee with Joe, or I don't know what his name was, but it's like he's drinking coffee and he just goes over things. And one of them is his real estate, why he got out of real estate, and he couldn't get over keeping like calling your sister, your brother-in-law, or whatever, and your friends. He couldn't get over that hump of feeling like they always want something from him, you know, like business, and he couldn't separate the two. Like,
no, I get it. So there's a really good book out there called Givers and Takers.
Okay.
And it talks about the three types of people in the world. It talks about how there are givers, who you probably know people in your world who are givers. They're always thinking of like how they can help other people. It talks about the second group of people, which are matchers. Mm-hmm. So you have people that they'll do something, but then you owe them something now. You probably have people in your world who, it's like they're keeping a score.
A tally, yeah.
Yeah. Like I have friends like that. I have family members like that. It's like, if they do something for you, like they're going to remind you of it. Like you owe them, so there's always like this scorecard back and forth of like, you owe something because they did something for you. So those are matchers. Then you have takers, and I'm sure you've like come across takers. Like people who just like, it's all like they're going for a win-win situation, but they have to have both wins. Mm-hmm. Like they have to be the win-win of everything. So they're continually trying to like one up everybody else, and they have to like be the one who gets like the strategic advantage and everything. So in the book, it's pretty fascinating because it talks about how the people who make the most amount of money are givers, and the people who make the least amount of money are also givers. It's like a segment of givers because they kind of get burnt out of giving. Mm-hmm. So the hard part is a lot of times people get into real estate because they want to help people. They want to like be able to provide value. So they see themselves as givers, but then the thought of calling people and reaching out to people puts them in a mindset of taker. And they're like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm a giver. I'm not going to call and take. So the mental shift to have in that process and to be able to break through that is to understand that when you're reaching out to people, you can actually give and start out by giving. You don't have to take anything. You don't have to ask for anything. You can lead with so much value. In fact, if you are giving so much, you can actually create a process where people feel like they want to provide value because you're giving so much. And so the holdup that most people have is they don't want to call people because they don't want to become takers. They don't want to become like this weird version of themselves that they picture as this hardcore salesperson that's going to be trying to manipulate people. But I've had many agents who have we've had this discussion, and we had one a couple of weeks ago with an agent, and she said, I'm not going to call because I don't want to become that person. I said, tell me about that person that you're so scared of.
Yeah.
That version of you. She's like, well, I don't want to call him and come across as this high pressure salesperson. And I said, oh, fascinating. It'd be amazing to see what that looks like. So she didn't want to be that person. So that was her fear. She didn't want to become that person. And I think it's fascinating when people, they have this persona or this version of themselves that they think is out there because they've been sold something and they don't want to become that version of themselves. And it's almost like this, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They think there's this version of them that's out there. So I even challenged her. I pulled out $100 out of my wallet and I said, here's $100. If you can call right now, somebody on your phone, and become that person just for that call, you make $100. Be the super salesy version of you that you're so scared of, that's going to show up somehow.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it show up. It says, you seem like it's waiting at the gates, and it's waiting to come out. And the fear is if you get on a phone call, it's going to just show up. Let's bring it out. He's told permission. Here's $100.
And how'd it go?
See it come out. No, she said there is no version of that. There is no version of that in her. It's all in her head. Her fear of I'm going to turn into a super salesy person. Great. Then be if your fear is becoming that because you're so worried about that happening because it's going to happen so easily and supposedly. Great. Here's your permission to have that person come out. That version of you that you're so worried that you're doing everything you can to keep it locked behind doors. There's $100 for it to show up for one phone call.
Yeah.
Bring it. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Is she there? And what's funny is what I'm trying to prove to you is that version of you, it doesn't even exist. There is not a version of you that is so salesy that you can even show up because you don't even know how to do it.
Yeah.
You are not super salesy. So your fear of becoming super salesy is so unrealistic because you haven't ever done it. And you can't, even with $100 on the line, you can't even become that person.
Wow.
Even with it. Right now, you can't do it.
That's such a good point. And the other thing too, that overcoming fears, you just have to take action and do it, right? The biggest way of overcoming fear is just take action and do it. I used to hate making phone calls, cold calls especially. There's this one agent, I'm not going to definitely not mention names. But I'm
but they're probably watching. I'm
she's
sure
probably definitely listening.
She's totally.
And she'll probably know exactly who this is.
This is the one person that's still watching. Everybody else has already stopped watching. Maybe my mom's watching still.
Yeah.
Maybe this agent. So So don't say her name.
I'm not going to say her name, but
she can tag herself.
I was terrified
of calling
her. And I'm and I made up the story. I probably spent 15 minutes before the phone call just working myself up about all the scenarios that could happen.
She's pretty intimidating.
She is. And I said, you know what, Tristan? What's the worst thing that she's going to say to me? And it's going to be to tell me to bug off in a nice way. To bug off.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the absolute worst thing that's going to happen. Or she's not going to answer.
One together.
Yeah. And I'm and that's the worst. And if that's the worst, that's fine. What is that going to do to me? That's nothing. She doesn't know who I am. You know what I mean? She doesn't know. And I called her. She didn't tell me to bug off. She did laugh at me and then hung up. And I was that wasn't even bad. It wasn't even bad.
Yeah, she's totally watching.
She is. Hi. So I think just and now when I make phone calls, that's what I have in my head. Because I was what's the worst that's going to happen? Aaron's going to tell me, nah, not interested. Cool. All right. And that's the worst. So It's not that
That's
bad.
good. I'm glad I'm one of the intimidating ones. That's
Yeah.
like my persona. That's what I'm looking
Well,
for.
no, I don't. You didn't answer, but I texted you, and then you were like, "I'm not scared," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this. Yeah, we're doing this." And you came here, and I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be fun. You are awesome." So let's talk about, because I know we're coming up on time, but I want to talk about social media, Instagram, Facebook, and then YouTube and Pete Swade.
Okay, what do you want to talk about? I mean, there's
Okay.
nothing really to talk about.
Social media.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Do you do it yourself? You run your social media?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to do it.
How did Pete Swade come around?
I mean, that was just an idea many, many years ago, just to have some fun and just to create some stuff. That was like pre-TikTok days of just like creating a fun character and having some fun videos.
I watched a couple. The testimonial one is so
Yeah.
so funny. My coworker and I were watching it. We were like dying laughing.
So, like they're so long ago. They're like dusted off.
So you don't do them anymore?
I mean, we've talked about bringing it back. We've thought about it. I mean, I have a whole list of video ideas to do. Yeah, I think the social media is such an interesting world. I mean, I could spend an hour talking about social media. My thoughts on it. I think the best ways of leveraging social media. Yeah, I think the most important thing is it is an easy way to stay top of mind with your people. Like if you're scrolling through your channels on watching TV, like you're going to land on a channel and you might want to watch programs that are on that channel. And that's what our individual social media is. It's a channel. Too many people have created their channel to be like a QVC, like an infomercial.
Yeah.
It becomes like, and that like nobody sits and watches like QVC for a long time. Mm-hmm. So if you can create whatever your compelling offer is and have that be like a commercial break among the regularly scheduled programming, I think that's the secret to. Now I get it. There are some people who they've gravitated and have like just strict, like I talk about real estate all the time, 100% of the time, and it's great. And we find with most of those people, like most of their followers are other real estate people, and they're creating referrals across the country. Like that's great. That's an angle to go down. The general consumer, like they're not going to sit and be like fascinated by that stuff because a lot of the content is like very, very heavy in real estate all the time. And I think the average consumer is going to be like, yeah, it's not my thing. I'm like, I buy a house average once every 8 to 10 years. So I'm not going to be plugged into that unless it's very creative and fun.
Yeah.
So I think the key thing is like creating content that your connections and your tribe is going to be connected with. And it's mostly stuff that you're interested in. So whatever my interests are. So my interests, I mean, like whatever season of life I'm in, I find interests that I like and I share those, and I have people that like, they start to follow that. And then I throw in real estate every once in a while as a reminder that I'm in real estate. Mm-hmm. But I just find the things that are passions for me and I start to share that and talk about it.
That's great.
I think that's the easiest way to start. And then becomes the pressure's off on what to talk about, what to share, because the stuff you already like. It's the stuff that you're already drawn to. And so I think that's the easiest way of building connection and people staying top of mind.
I feel like they know you. They know you.
Yeah, and that's why it's so critical to create your own content. And what I mean by that is like when you outsource it out and have somebody else writing, like that's not your voice. Mm-hmm. And you've got to just, I think it's the most important thing is you've got to create before you consume. Yeah. So if you can start to create stuff and be the creator of content, because there's a lot of consumers out there that are looking for stuff, and like what is going to impact them and what's going to make them feel better, what's going to make them. And I think that's if you can go on the positive spin, that's going to have a better play than being like a negative voice online. Mm-hmm. And I try to be not super polarizing, unless that's your brand. If you want to be polarizing, then you're gonna eliminate half of the marketplace.
Yeah.
You can be all in on the other half that you really want to be all in on, or just to be like a Switzerland when it comes to polarizing concepts, and at the same time talk about things that are passionate that for whatever you want to share.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there's some agents that don't like social media. They don't get on social media, but they have people that they've hired to go on there because they understand the importance of being on there.
Yeah, it checks a box, but I don't think it doesn't connect with people.
Yeah, it's not like they're authentic selves.
No, because look at the likes and the followers.
Yeah.
It's not the real version of them.
Yeah. I just feel so I think it's so important. It's free. It's free. You're connecting with people. You can see on the masses, instead of making all the phone calls, you can see what's going on in your like friends' lives, and then follow up with them like, hey, I just saw, you're pregnant. Congratulations. Or you're engaged, or you graduated college, whatever it is. You can see that all on social media and then have a reason to, call and stuff and check in. I think social media is a great connector and it's free.
Yeah. And I think people they get caught up with like the likes, the comments and all that stuff. But in reality, I mean, if you have a group of people, even if you had 10 people comment or like something, like you would never walk past a room of 10 people and they called your name and you wouldn't be like, oh, you're only 10 people. That's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
Or if you had a room of 100 people, you would never that's a great audience. Like you would never dismiss that audience if you walked to a room and there were 100 people and you wouldn't be like, oh, you guys aren't good enough. Unless you're a million people, I don't want to talk. It's just a weird,
yeah.
It's so weird how we get dissuaded on that process. And then, but the most important thing is just creating your own authentic voice and just you sharing stuff because that's how people connect. And what's interesting is there are so many people watching that don't like or comment. Mm-hmm. People are always watching.
Yeah.
And it's all those people that you're creating stuff that's going out and people are watching it. They see it. It's just, if you're consistent and you're putting stuff out there, then people are going to consume that content. And then you're just going to be top of mind for them when the timing is right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I feel like we're going to need to do a second episode because
wow, this is good.
You have so much good stuff. So I'm I feel like we need another one because we still have more to talk about.
For the one person who's still watching.
For the one person that's still watching.
There's one person. Whoever puts a comment at this point, you're like, I'm the one.
Yeah.
There's one person at the very, very end.
Let us know. You watched the whole thing.
I made it to the very end.
Say keyword Apple.
What do they get? If they get a free drink here, if they come.
They have to come to the office and they can, I can't bring them one.
Yeah, I get it. It's with the title, the rules, and everything else. But if they're I watched that whole thing, suffered through it, and as a result, I get a free water.
Yeah, perfect.
That's a cool reward for somebody to make that way through.
So, social media, where can people follow you?
MySpace. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was
for real? I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram.
Aaron Drussel.
Just Aaron Drussel.
Okay.
Yeah, I do some stand-up comedy here and there for fun.
I was gonna ask.
What's that? If I do it?
If you do comedy.
I do.
Of course you do. I could tell you do.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna, where do you do that?
Where do I do that?
Yeah.
Usually in front of an audience. Depends.
What are Wise to go to that place?
Oh, Wise Guys, I guess.
Yeah.
And we, I have shows all the time. I just for fun. So
fun.
It's good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. I didn't know this about you. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
And I'm telling you, we're going to have you on again.
Okay.
So,
We'll see. We'll see if the one person wants me back.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please rate us, like us, and share this podcast with our real estate community. The Nova Show Real Estate Record, sharing raw stories of real estate, failures, lessons, wins, and successes. This is all from Novation Title, bringing a different experience into your world so that we can all uplift each other. Until next time.